Hello again, I'm Toria Garbutt, and in this video I'm going to be talking about how to edit your poem. So hopefully at this point you will have come up with some material which is perhaps a memory, something that's happened to you or something that you've thought about or realised in these past few months. So for me, editing is really an intuitive process. For me, it's a case of getting everything down and then reading and rereading and taking out bits that just don't feel right, or maybe adding words that add something interesting to the sound of the poem, or chopping bits off that just seem to be sticking out. For me, I never really stick to a set rhythm or form, and it's all up to you if you want to do that. But remember, there's no rules to this, so if you want to write something that has no set rhythm or structure, that's absolutely fine. For me, my rhythms come from an intuitive place. They feel right for me, and often they're influenced by other things that I've listened to, maybe songs that I've heard or other poems that I've read. There's often this myth with poetry that our poetic voice comes from somewhere inside us, and actually we're all completely influenced by everything that we listen to, everything that we're surrounded by. So, for example, one of the first poets that I really got into was Sylvia Plath, and I really liked the way that Sylvia Plath wrote in a very frank and very confessional tone, and that's something that I do in my poetry. So there's a little bit of a Sylvia Plath influence in there. I also really loved Jim Morrison growing up, and I loved his long rambling stream of consciousness style poetry, and there's a little bit of that in mine. A lot of the time with my poems they are free flowing, so there's a little bit of Jim Morrison in there too, I think. I also really loved the Arctic Monkeys' first album, and I really liked the fact that they were singing in their Yorkshire accent. I read a lot of Irving Welsh growing up, and I loved the fact that he wrote in his accent. So that's something that I've also used in my poetry. And it's absolutely fine to do that, borrow from things that you like. That's what we're all doing. That's exactly what art does. So find rhythms that you like, find styles that you like, and have a go at replicating that and make it your own. Because whatever you come up with will be your truth and your memories, and a mishmash of all the styles that you enjoy. So I'm going to show you an old poem of mine that I wrote about 15 years ago, and I just want to show you a little bit how it's changed over the years. So the first thing is, other than it all being written on tracing paper, the first thing is, this poem was originally called Fell Off the Top Branch. I don't know if you can see that, but it's all just written in one big block of text. There are no line breaks there. It's just like one big long rambling sentence. There's no punctuation in there whatsoever. And I wrote like that for a long time, partly because I was interested in experimentalist, modernist poets at the time, and I thought I would like to try to write something that felt or looked a little bit different. So that was the first thing. Everything was written in one big long rambling structure, or lack of structure. This poem, I'm not going to read the whole poem, but it's about being cheated on. Like I said to you before, all my stuff tends to be autobiographical. So I took a memory, like I talked about in the last video, I took a memory and I wrote about it, and I decided to write about a time in my life when my boyfriend cheated on me. So, okay. It's difficult actually to know where to start reading this because it is so long and rambling, but I'll take it from here. I knew it was her. And you were smiling at me, the old lolly stick, holding her photos from under your bed, and it was over just like that, just like that. I moved away and rented a cottage with new furniture and new knives and forks and a new duvet cover from Argos that didn't smell like you. And a green Fiat Punto and a garden shed with a watering can and a washing line and a rack for your shoes. Not your shoes, you were gone. And in any case, winkle pickers would have looked garish in my porch. And then 15 years later, this little DIY book became an actual published book, and that poem, which was originally called Fell Off the Top Branch, became this poem here, What About Me? And you can see already the structure looks different there. I made decisions to chop it up in a way that felt more easily digestible, and in a way that looked better on the page, I thought. And that again was just an intuitive decision, something that just felt right, and I think that's really, really important. This is your poem, and you get to make the rules. So that little bit there changed, and I knew it was her. I've changed actually, I knew it was her. I knew it was her. That girl from the gig, you'd rolled her a cig and licked it with your lying tongue. And then you smiled at me, your old lolly stick, you were quick to throw me out. Go home, Vicky, you said. I ransacked your room instead, looked under the bed, upturned a stash of photos, promises, pet names like Bear, doodles of hearts and cribs. Go home, Vicky. And that was that. I packed up the flat and the cat and that, and I rented this cottage in Ponty with a garden shed and a watering can and a porch with a rack for your shoes. Not yours, because you were gone to Chicago, and anyway, your winkle pickers would have looked shit in Ponty. So you can hear there that they're pretty similar, but the rhythm's tighter, there's more rhyming going on. I've used my own dialect in there, and made little changes. So garish, the winkle pickers would have looked garish, has become winkle pickers would have looked shit in Ponty, which I just kind of felt sounded more comedic. So my advice to you is to read through what you've written, leave it, read it again, and just try chopping it up and changing little bits of it until it sounds more pleasing to you. The most important thing sometimes is to just leave it and do nothing for a while. Once you've got all your ideas down, leave it and come back to it and look at it with fresh eyes. And when it's right, you'll know it's right, is the only thing I can really say there. When it's complete, it'll feel ready, and you'll feel that instinctively and intuitively. So this is your poem, no rules, do what feels right for you, and I look forward to reading what you've written. Take care everybody, good luck, bye bye.